He's champ.
In London. He said, who should I fight? So he helped give me the name. He looked at the video, one player who made the fight.
Nice. Champ, we're from Ireland. Can we get a picture, champ? Hey, can we get a picture, champ?
So Dan, yeah. How you doing here with Dan Rafael? How you doing?
I'm good, sir. I'm good.
Good. So my question to you is, when you did sit down with Bernard Hopkins and you told him Joe Smith as one of the fighters that you think he should finish his career with, what was your mindset on that?
Well, we were in London. It was at the Kell Brook Triple G fight in September. We had breakfast together, and he wanted to talk about his last fight, what he wanted to do. So he asked me for my opinion. Who should I fight? We went over his criteria, what he wanted. He didn't want a guy that was going to run. He wanted a guy that was going to be in front of him.
Right.
He didn't want a guy that was a walkover. He wanted a credible opponent who had a good record, who was somebody that nobody's going to laugh at if he signed, as opposed to taking the easy fight.
Right.
Joe was coming off the win against Fanfara. He met those criteria. He also wanted to make sure it was a fight that could be made politically and contractually. It was. So I had two thoughts. It was like a 90-minute breakfast, and I came up with two names. One was Joe Smith Jr. One was Shawnee Monahan. Both light heavyweights, both with excellent records. Both fit that criteria of fights that could probably be made. Both guys that were not joke opponents. And we sat. He looked them up on his phone and said, "I'm going to talk to Oscar and talk to Eric about it." I think he liked the idea of Joe better than Shawnee, even though Shawnee's undefeated. Joe had the big win against Fanfara on national television. It was pretty spectacular. And he opted to go for Joe Smith, and like a month later, they made the fight. So I guess I'm 0-1 as Bernard Hopkins' matchmaker, and 1-0 as Joe Smith.
Right. Now, how do you feel about Joe Smith? Lance.
Okay.
And how do you feel about Joe Smith's performance tonight?
I mean, I didn't think he was blowing him out. It was a close fight. I had Bernard down 1 point when the stoppage happened. But Joe, he fought how I expected him to. He came forward. He threw punches. He was aggressive. He showed a good chin. He was determined. He was in great condition. He did what he said he was going to do. He came in there and he took it to Bernard, and he came out on top. I mean, he's 27. Bernard's 51. And for Joe's sake, he's coming off 2 big victories in a row. Maybe he can get some kind of big opportunity, even bigger than the 2 that he's already had.
Now, who do you think would be next? What would be a good option in your eyes?
I mean, listen, any light heavyweight that wants to give a young guy that's strong and has a desire can get a shot, whether he fights for a title or an eliminator, or maybe he does a rematch with Fanfara if they can offer the money that would entice him to do that.
What about a fight with Kovalev?
I mean, Kovalev's tied up with the ward business. Nothing with that's going to happen for a while, so it's not even an option.
Okay. Well, Dan, thank you for your time. I appreciate
pleasure.
it.
You got it, man.
Have a good one.